today. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, man.
Can you just quickly give a quick intro?
Yeah, my name is Shem Ray Parkinson. I work as a producer primarily, as well as on-air talent at Kiss 92.5 here in Toronto. I've been doing this job for now 12 years. Come from Malvern, check the hat, always. Love me some Scarborough, love Malvern, born and raised. And Scarborough all day, every day, absolutely. I'm blessed. I've got a great life. We all have our things that we can complain about, of course, but I will not. I got my health for the most part. So yeah, I'm good.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
So like for me, I know you for where we're at right now, Kiss 92.5.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Roz Mocha show, I don't know if it's the biggest show in Toronto, if it's the biggest show in Canada,
Yep.
but it sure feels like it.
I'm right.
And like, I've seen your work. It's hilarious. It's engaging.
Thanks, man.
And like, I've seen your career grow as well, like just from the outside, you know what I mean? So like, I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to even like pursue this? And like, how did you even get to the state, like the position you're right now? Because you're assistant production.
I'm assistant program director of the radio station and the executive producer of the Roz Mocha show. Yeah, it's kind of crazy actually. So I love it. I'm blessed. I'm a little bit. No, it's crazy. I actually took criminal justice, so law in school. That's where my degree is in. And I had always, growing up, wanted to do some sort of performance or broadcasting. I've always thought that that's what I wanted to do. Actually, most people don't know this. I actually wanted to be a soap opera actor. Wild, right? Like a soap opera actor. Like I was into the whole, like I used to watch Passions. Come on, right?
Yo.
Come on, man. Passions, General Hospital, and the rest of this. That used to be my thing right there, right? So I always really wanted to be an actor. I thought that's what I wanted to do. I thought I also wanted to be a singer as well. And it just didn't sort of work out that way. You know how it is. You tell your parents, especially my Guyanese parents, I want to be an actor. And they'll be like, all right, okay, go do something practical. Go get a law degree or go be a doctor or whatever. So I did that and I enjoyed it. It was cool. But I think after my degree, and I did well in school. Like it wasn't like I flunked into anything bad. Did well in school. But I think afterwards I said to myself, now you know what? I want to go pursue this dream of broadcasting in some way, shape, or form. I really, really want to do that. So I did. I enrolled at Humber College, and I did the postgraduate program, which was like 8 or 9 months. Shout out to Humber, and did that. And then I interned. I begged to come to KISS. I begged the powers that be here to come here. I've grown up listening to this radio station. We're talking the days of, Mad Dog and Billy when they were here.
Yeah.
Of course, Roz Mocha, who's been here for 15 years and counting. I just worked my way up. Honestly, that's really what it is. I just came in here with the mindset that I was going to get to a certain point, and I'm still working. I never look at it like, look at me, I've arrived. And you're right, I'm on one of the biggest shows in this country with the Roz Mocha show. And I'm eternally grateful to be on the show and work on it.
We make sacrifices for parents. Ask kids to be immigrants.
Sure.
But was there a time where you felt like, okay, maybe you didn't see anyone maybe that related to you, like being Afro-Caribbean, guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I will say this. My parents were never discouraging of my dreams, right? Okay. They were never like, no, don't do that. They just wanted what's best for me, right? Like all parents. Yeah, representation matters, right? And you're right. I think growing up, you didn't see a lot of people within close proximity of myself who were achieving stuff in the entertainment world. But now look at it, right? There are so many people who look just like you, look just like you, who are thriving and doing incredible things, and they are absolutely inspirations. Absolutely, yeah.
100%. And Shem, the reason why we're here today is for C.H.I.P conversation. So C.H.I.P is the acronym and motto I live by: challenging hardship into perspective.
Okay.
Right. So that's just kind of how my life has been, and throughout the years, I've been talking to different people, different areas, different industries, but they've made a name for themselves, or they're making a name for themselves, but they've also experienced challenges and hardships.
Sure.
But to overcome that, they've kind of gained a new perspective. So I wanted to talk to you about, for you, has there been any hardships or challenges that you've encountered or you've dealt with whether it be in the radio industry or whether it be in your personal life? Is there any that you feel comfortable talking about?
Sure, yeah. Definitely challenges, I'm a black man. Breaking news, right? You know, we know the negative stereotypes that come with that, and sometimes people throw some obstacles, or the world throws some obstacles in front of you. I do my best to try to overcome that, but I also recognize that I'm incredibly privileged that I've had both my parents, a strong support system that have allowed me to overcome that and not use that necessarily as a reason to not succeed. But I'm also aware, and it's important to know that there are so many people who don't have that, right? And they struggle, and then they may go down a different sort of path. So yeah, I've had my own struggles. I have struggles of insecurity. I'm insecure about my weight. Like I'm literally like, if you were to do a side by side of Shem in 2019 and Shem in 2024, it's like right? And there's like double me right now, right? So I got work to do. So, but in terms of like my other sort of struggles, yeah, I mean, I've been divorced, which was an emotional struggle for me for a while. It made me feel insecure about who I am as a person. There was a little while where I felt like my career was a little bit stagnant, and so I really struggled with feelings of self-worth. Thought, am I talented? Am I good enough to do this? More recently, I lost my grandmother last year, which was really tough. From an emotional standpoint, for sure. I've had failed relationships. Anybody else? I've had some broken friendships, which have been really tough. And yeah, so I've had some setbacks, but I also think that these things have happened in order to help me grow, right? Like I didn't even know my own strength until I went through some of these challenges. So I consider myself to be pretty resilient, and I try my very, very, very best to not allow, let's just say, societal things or barriers to sort of get in my way. But again, it's important to know not everybody can do that. And I don't say that as some weird flex. I say that to say, we need to have a little bit of empathy for people who aren't necessarily able to overcome things as quickly and never take this stuff for granted. Despite going through some really crappy things that really could have, made me say, nah, forget it. I really try to remind myself what's the alternative. Sure, I can give up. I can say, nah, forget it. I don't want to do anything. I'm done. Life has screwed me. Forget it. But who's that screw? Screws me. Yeah. Don't screw anybody else. It just screws me, right? So, and I refuse. I refuse not to look to my own potential.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you have that mindset and mentality, because we wouldn't be getting the stuff that you put out, without that. Like, you know what I mean? And I know it may be something small to you, but like, trust me that like the stuff that you do for other people, even if they don't, like, you don't know them, you made such a big impact. You know what I mean? So I'm happy you do that. And like, about like certain other things, like obviously no one's perfect. You know what I mean? We gotta do what we gotta do. But like, I think as long as we're working towards something. You mentioned, Shem, like how you were begging to kind of like to get a chance at Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to ask you like how many times or how many different ways you've kind of begged, but like, was there a time where you're like, man, like I should probably like give up, or like maybe there's like, you know what, like let me try a different way. You know what I mean? Let me do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was a pretty stubborn kid, coming out of school. Right? Like very much adamant that this was going to be the place that I work, and nothing or no one was going to get in my way. So I was pretty stubborn. I would say to anybody else who's in that position now in school, thinking about what that next step is in their career, to be a little bit more open-minded than I was. I was very, very stubborn. And truth be told, if I was a little bit more open-minded, I might have achieved success a little bit sooner in my career. And again, I'm grateful for my path and my journey, for sure. But yeah, there were times where I had a little bit of doubt. But again, I was so stubborn. I'm a Taurus, so it's just par for the course, right? But I was just so adamant that I'm going to achieve what I look to achieve, and I'm more stubborn now, about it, and I'm really just like, nah, I'm gonna do it. I know I can. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Turning stubbornness to persistence.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
That's dope. And Shem, like I know we talked about it, right? Like I already said I'm a fan, and like, we have a like I have a bit of a bias because as you can see by the cap,
All day.
close to home, you know, Scarborough. And like yeah, like I've seen your career grow. You're doing big things, and I know off camera you said that you know you're still working. You know, you still don't want to say like you haven't achieved it yet, but like you want to kind of there's still more to grow. Has there been any like yeah, I made it, or like, okay, like this is actually kind of looking a bit nice right now. You know what I mean?
My first thought is to say I ain't done shit yet, honestly, because like I mean I'm still growing, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean I don't like to say like look at me, I've made it great, but I will say this, and I shout out to my therapist. I will say that it's been important to also take a step back and realize when you have accomplished something, right? And celebrate that a little bit, celebrate those wins, because otherwise, why if I'm not going to take a second to appreciate all the hard work that goes into them, what the hell's the point of doing it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say there's two moments that have really been like, oh wow, I'm having an impact. That's kind of cool. I voice a lot of commercials, more so recently. And there's
Give me that more.
Yeah, no. Maury is the commercial king. But I did a hi, we're our coworkers. I did a sorry, people thought that I did a Burger King commercial. There's a Whopper Burger King commercial that's out now. And people assume that it's me. They because our voices sound similar. And I thought that even though I didn't do the commercial, it was kind of flattering that people thought that like they recognized my voice enough to say, "Oh, yo, that sounds like Shem." Until this day, that commercial came out like a year ago. People still think that it's me. So when people recognize my voice from commercials that I actually have done, that makes me feel like, "Oh wow, I'm making a bit of an impact." That's pretty cool. And then, yeah, cut the check, BK. And then the other thing I would say is, being on the Roz Mocha show, and I'm gonna sound like such a homer when I say this, but it's the truth. You know, we just got back from a show trip to Jamaica, and walking through the airport and having people recognize us. Well, Roz Mocha, but me being there as well. It's kind of cool. Having people recognize us at the resort, seeing people come up to us and be like nervous to talk to us. Like to me, it's sort of. I mean, again, I'm not nearly to the extent of famous as my coworkers, but it's sort of weird to me that anybody would ever be starstruck by me. Like I'm a very regular dude, so it's very flattering when people will say, or they'll DM and they'll call in and they'll be like, "Yo, you changed my life," or I listen to you every day, or they recite things that I've said on the radio years ago back to me as things that have helped them in their own life. Like to me, that's it almost makes me a little bit emotional thinking about it, because there's such a power, there's such an intimacy in that, right? And the fact that anybody would hold on to something I've done or said on the radio or TV, it's pretty remarkable. So when those moments have happened where you run into a listener, you run into a fan who is just so excited to see you and excited to take 5 minutes just to talk to you, those I really do cherish and appreciate those moments.
100%. And like two things. Like first of all, you just talked about like people recognizing you and reaching out to you. I DM, like we don't know each other prior to this, okay? Like really, like I remember I hit you up and I'm like, yo, this guy's not this. This guy's probably gonna leave me on red, probably see the follower account and be like, all right, whatever. But I'm just like, I remember when you responded, I was like, holy shit. Like I told my sister, I'm like, yo, this is real, bro. Like
I appreciate that. See, that's so funny to me to hear though, because like firstly, to look at your follower account to decide whether you're worth a minute, I think that's crazy, right? Like I think that stuff is so. But I think that I know that happens. I just think that's so utterly ridiculous. Kudos to you, because doing this stuff, you're right. A lot of the times I was in that position 12 years ago, where you're newer to this and you're trying to talk to people, trying to reach out. And quite frankly, there are a lot of people in the media communication industry who are just snobs and then don't respond. I don't see the purpose in not responding to somebody. You know what I mean? I don't see. I'm like, who the hell am I that I just shouldn't respond to somebody, right? Like, especially somebody who's comes at me respectfully. You know what I mean? Like, I could say, hey, look, man, Tagan, I don't have the time. Sorry, can't. But even if I didn't have the time, let's say I didn't have the time, you make the time, right? You just make the time, and you appreciate people who are trying to do great things, and you're trying to do something really great, and you are doing great things. Why the hell would I not? Why the hell would I not say, hey, yeah, let's do this. You're right. This is the end of my work filming this at the end of recording this at the end of my work day. You know what time I start? I start dumb early, right? But like, to me, this is about, like, this is cool for me as well, like, selfishly, right? Like this is also cool for me to kind of get here and talk to somebody who is younger, who is hungry, who is trying to do something really great, who's doing great things. It's cool for me as well. So I know that you appreciate it, but selfishly, this is also kind of cool for me to do. So I appreciate you even reaching out, right?
That's awesome. And also, Shem, like, is there anything, like, first of all, thank you. And then I know you're super humble. You're doing great things. You're also like off the record too, right? I saw, like, you're like, talking about your students and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you're putting people on. So I'm just saying, like, it's not just me that appreciate what you're doing. So thank you for that. I do want to ask you though, like, is there anything, like, any goals or anything like that you have that you're like, all right, maybe in like the next couple of years, something like that? Or is it like just kind of go with the flow?
Oh yeah. Honestly, a little bit of both. Okay. Right? I mean, I wouldn't say go with the flow. I mean, I'm just gonna go with whatever life sort of throws my way, and I'll be ready for it.
Mm.
I definitely have goals. Yeah, man. Like, I got career goals. I would love to be on the Roz Mocha show for as long as I possibly can, but the show's not going to be on forever.
Yeah.
Right? And what happens with me after the show? The show's already been on for 15 years, right? And I hope we do another 15, 20 years. But what's next for Shem after that, right? So I think about stuff like that for sure. I've got financial goals. You know what I mean? Want to feel like I've arrived. Not yet. I'm too young for that. Too young to feel like I've already arrived. I don't need to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, to me, stagnation is death, and I ain't dying, and I ain't dead yet. So, I'm all about what's next. But I also think that sometimes that can be a flaw of mine.
Also,
because I rarely take a second to just stop and say, oh, okay, cool, I've made it now. Like, I've done something good. I'm always trying to achieve what's next. And I know that I need to sometimes pause, take a second, and say, oh, you know what? I did good. I did good today. I'm happy with that. I don't do that enough. I would encourage anybody who's listening to this right now, I would encourage yourself to do that. Gotta take a second sometimes to appreciate the work that you do. I don't do that enough. And that's something that I really want to make sure I do more of moving forward.
I generally don't do that enough either.
Yeah.
Until you actually just said that out right now, I'm like,
I feel like that's a Toronto thing, man. Honestly, I feel like Toronto is such grind culture, hustle culture. Go, try to achieve the next thing. Nobody just takes a second to just be like, oh, all right, cool, I've made it. You know what I mean? And I think it's so important to do that. It's just for your own mental health as well, right?
100%. Mental health as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. And like, we kind of talked about this like a bit off screen as well, but while we're filming this, like, this is during Black History Month and stuff like that. And we kind of talked about it before, but I did want to ask you about, like, being of the culture and everything like that. Why do you think Black History Month is so important? Why do you want, like, or why do you think other people should really embrace learning about Black history, but also appreciating the culture itself?
Yeah. Well, Black history is Canadian history, right? And I'll speak to Canada. I'm not going to talk about America.
Okay.
It is Canadian history, and oftentimes it gets sort of separated. But that's also a lot of times it gets whitewashed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't get focused. And I find, especially in schools, so much of Black history is just taught through the lens of slavery. We're just slaves. All we hear about is what slaves we were. There are people who have done incredible, inventions and pioneers that we don't even celebrate, right? We spend, schools especially spend so much time on slavery, which obviously is huge. But there are people like Jean Augustine, there are people like George Crumb, by the way, invented potato chips.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love potato chips, right? Angela James. Like there are people who have done great things that don't ever get celebrated, and I feel like February is way too short of a month. Quite frankly, you should be celebrated year round, right? Like Black History should be celebrated year round because it's part of Canadian history.
Exactly.
So while I'm glad that we have a hyper focus on it during a month of the year, it still needs to be something that is taught right throughout the year because it is important. It is part of the culture. And speaking, you talked about culture. I'm sometimes it's tough for me to talk like what is the culture? What does that even mean? You know what I mean? Like my culture, my respect for whether it's Black culture, but even that's like we're not a monolith. We don't just all have the same culture, right? Guyanese are different.
I was gonna say,
are different from Trinidadians, different from Bayesians or whatever, right? Like we all have our own thing. And then there's issues of colorism, right? Like my experience as a darker Guyanese person is different from somebody who's more light skinned and fair skinned, right? You're Sri Lankan, right? Tamil, right? And we were saying off air, you were saying for the record, that he doesn't look Tamil, right? And what I'm sure those can be different experiences, right? So I think when it comes to culture and just sort of respecting things, I think it's just a matter of educating yourself. I think we all need to learn and listen a little bit more, and I try to show my best respect for all cultures, quite frankly, by listening and learning. And when I don't know, shut up and listen.
And by the way, if you haven't done so already, watch his kids movie.
I
saw the Black History Month.
Oh, the Black History Month one.
Calm down. Like I was like, you know what? Like I was like, how does this guy do it? But like I want to ask you, like, how do you feel about doing that one? Because like there's certain ones that I feel like maybe you have a song in mind and you're like, okay, like let me write it to that, especially for the monthly recaps. Because if you don't know, like he does the monthly recaps through his. But like for Black History Month, like it was beautiful, and it was like you were talking like the people that you were mentioning before, right? Like they were doing like when you're saying potato chip, like I'm like, yeah, I remember that. Like I watched it because of that. You know what I mean?
That Black History Month video is really special to me. Yeah, I do monthly recaps where I recap things that happen in pop culture at the end of every month. The Black History Month one, we did that last year. Came on last year. Yeah, it was. Man, like it feels to know the impact that song has had and videos had. I've had like I can't even tell you how many teachers and educators and principals who've reached out who've said, "Hey, we're going to use this, or it'd be good to use this during our Black History Month celebrations." I didn't know that would have that impact when you wrote the song.
In terms of this, right? Like we talked about the impact of the song, right? We talked about how you're doing this. I also want to mention that constantly you and your co-host Mocha are repping Melvin. Like that hat, like he's wearing that. You see it on the clips that you posted online.
Always.
And obviously like, make sure you do check out this race between Mocha and was that in Melbourne?
Yeah, that was at the my god, it's the Olympic Center up on my morning side of 401. Mocha's my guy. Love Mocha. Shout out to Mocha, of course. That race was
that was something, bro. That was something.
But yes, watch the race first, then go watch the basketball and see me get my redemption. So
you know what? That's also kind of bigger one because that's an international.
That's a fact. I was in Jamaica. I was in a button up and I beat it. You know what I mean? No, listen, Mocha and I talk a lot about growing up in Scarborough and being in Malvern and just how I feel like everybody who grows up in Scarborough kind of has that sort of chip on their shoulder a little bit, right? And we grow up feeling like we got something to prove, right? And I feel like it's sort of embedded in all of us, and I'm definitely like that. But I don't look at that as like negative, right? I look at that more so as a real motivator, and something that really pushes me and makes me want to go out there and do things and push and grind and work hard. You know what I mean? So I love being from Malvern. I feel like so many people have this negative connotation of what it's like to be from Scarborough, being from Malvern in particular. And the things that I do in my daily life with work or even how I act personally and with my personal relationships is designed to make sure people recognize that, like, I want people to say to themselves, oh yeah, like he did great things, won an Emmy award or whatever and he's from Melbourne. And I want people to know that because The most people who diss and crap all over Scarborough Malvern barely ever step foot in it and don't know anything about the people that are there.
Yeah.
We're not some, second subhuman set of people, right? Like we work hard, we grind. I love the culture. I love the people in Scarborough. I love the people in Malvern. And yeah, I just appreciate it, and I'm happy to take it wherever I go.
Yeah, no, and I think I said it before, like Scarborough or Toronto brings the culture, the food, the people,
Absolutely.
the mindset, everything that we do, we just don't do it for ourselves.
No,
We do it for our community,
totally.
and we do it for everybody else too. You know what I mean? Like that's why we're doing this interview right now too, so that you can actually benefit from it, right? And you can actually take something away.
Totally.
So I do want to thank you for that. And I think you kind of also mentioned the resiliency that you had from Scarborough, having that thing. And I think it's like a blessing and a curse. We talk about it.
Sure.
It kind of pushes us to constantly go for more, do more. But we also got to remember to kind of relax a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think something that I'm definitely guilty of, and I have been for such a long time, is we spend so much time hustling and grinding and doing this. You don't ever take a second to just be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I've done all right, I've done good here, right? And really start to appreciate, what we do on a daily basis. And I think it's really unhealthy to kind of get caught up in the sort of hustle culture and never take a step back and appreciate what you have done. And again, I'm a hypocrite. I struggle with that all the time. I really do struggle with that. And that's something that I'm really trying to learn as I get older, to slow down a little bit and appreciate the stuff that I've done and appreciate that. And I'm not saying revel in it, but maybe revel in a little bit. And recognize that not everything has to be a grind, hustle, do this. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy way to live. It doesn't make me cooler, to not sleep. Yeah, I never understand people who are like, yo, team, no sleep. I don't sleep at all. I struggle with sleep. I would love to get more sleep. Get your rest. It's not cool to be tired. It's not cool to be, hustling all the time and not enjoying the fruits of your labor. So I think it's important to have that balance. The real cool people find a healthy balance.
100%. But there are gonna be days because, honestly, we're both kind of hypocrites because we're both running on
Totally, man. Yeah.
12 hours of sleep. But we're also gonna have those days where we're gonna relax. We're gonna appreciate life.
Absolutely.
And Shem, before we get out of here, I do want to ask: do you have any final thoughts for the viewers at home just watching this, and any final messages you want to share?
Yeah, I would say really, really just sort of take time to be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we spend so much time judging ourselves and being judgmental of ourselves, most importantly. I don't know if anybody's like myself, but I'm my own harshest critic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to sort of take a step back and realize that you're doing your best, right? So I would really say that. It's going to sound cliche, but it's so important. Protect your mental health. It is important. This physical body doesn't work the same way if my mental health is not right. And if your mental health is not right, if your mental health is not right. So really take the time to find that balance in terms of enjoying your life and, working hard. And just be kind, man. It takes nothing to just be kind to people.
It doesn't cost.
It just really doesn't. And if you don't got anything nice to say, then just shut up. Just shut up. Just be kind to people, man. And we are all way more alike than we realize. And if we just take a second to get out of our own way, get out of our own hate, we'll see that for sure.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, Shem. I appreciate you doing this. This is C.H.I.P Conversations. Check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Also, if you don't like watching the video or you depend on reading for accessibility issues or new translation, visit the blog post, chiplifestyle.com. I'm going to leave all the links in the description, including the social media channels, so you can follow and support. But also, check out the links in the description for Shem's socials as well, so you can learn more.
Appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, Shem.
Absolutely.
Have a good one. Peace.